And I'm going to call this special commission meeting to order, February 1st, I can't believe it, 2019. Would everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Commissioner Jag, would you lead us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Pardon me.
Commissioner Chesney, I don't have a pastor, but you did a great job last time. Would you just lead us in a quick prayer?
Sure. Can we rise? I'm sorry. Dear God, thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. Thank you for all of the many blessings you've put in our lives. As we come together again as a Commissioner's Court, we ask that you will please watch over us and please help us all to remember that we are all here for the good of those that we serve. In your Son's names, we ask these things and pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, everybody. I like spreading that around, by the way, so if anyone else likes to do the prayer, just volunteer. It's a nice thing to do. Okay, I actually already said the time, but February 1st, 2019, third floor, Nueces County Courthouse. The time officially of the meeting now is 1:35. Glad to have you here, and I do certify that a quorum is present today. At this time, I will entertain public comment. If there is a sign-up sheet, I'll take it at this time. Thank you, Tyner.
Items not on the agenda.
I beg your pardon? For items not on the agenda. Yes. Yeah, that's something that's important. There is also the ability to have comment about the agenda, but this is the point where you would say comment that is not related to the agenda. Okay, great. Okay, recognizing Commissioner Jesse Rojas, welcome.
Wait, it is related to an agenda item? Then he,
Okay, then just hang on. Sorry. Okay. But it's coming quickly, so hang on.
it's the only agenda item.
Right. Turns out it's just a minute or two. Okay, now we'll move to the regular agenda item, and that is number 1, and that's discuss and consider selection of consultants for the 86th session of the Texas Legislature, Strategic Planning, Consulting, and Government Relations Services. And just for history, we are here today as a result of motion to table to today's date and seconded by, I think it was Commissioner Gonzalez at this time. Is that correct? Okay, and at this time, do I have a motion?
Judge, I'd like to start off this item with a motion that, based on our conversation and the direction that I think we had from our committee and moving through the full court earlier this week, I make a motion that we use Patricia Shipton and the firm of Texana Public Affairs as our lobbyist for this 86th session of the Texas Legislature, and that we enter into negotiations with them through the judge and the county attorney, and that we provide them with equal compensation for each firm, and that then we come back, I guess, at a later date. Would that be correct? At our next meeting for final contract. But that is my motion, Judge.
I second the motion, but I also like to, just one discussion. This also, as far as the contract, is that including it's the fees, right, for the contract? Yes. So it'd be all in one lump sum?
Yes, that's right. Yes,
So
that's
I
my
second the motion. I mean, I have no other discussion.
And just for clarification, John, you're saying on the fees, I didn't catch that part. Could you just repeat
Well,
that?
just
I apologize.
equal, provide equal amount for the firms,
For the two groups?
for
Okay.
the firms that are in negotiations, and that the judge and the county attorney enter into those.
And where are we getting those funds?
I think Ade is here. Would that be okay if you address Commissioner Vaughn's question?
Yes, we have available funds in Department 1235, and right now we have $76,300. We can use, we have contingency there, so we can use these funds.
I have a quick question. Does that include that which was already budgeted, or would that be an
Yes, this
additional?
include, the 76,000 includes the 24,000
Okay.
that we already had there. So the
Okay,
difference is gonna be.
okay.
So we should actually have a cap on that, right? I mean, as far as, I mean,
So just a question, and this is really not so much for you, Ade, but to Ms. Jimenez, and that is that when we say good faith negotiations and discussion, I'm assuming that we will do that. We don't happen to have a number right this minute. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, and not to throw too much out there, because it might lessen our bargaining position that the judge needs to have with those folks. Certainly, there's different options that you can approach them with, whether it's session only or partial year or whatever it is. And certainly, I don't know what the end result will be, but when you hire two, there's going to be more funds involved, and I'm certainly willing to look at finding additional funds in other places if we have to, and that's not to throw too much out there so that, we give away our bargaining position. But at the same time, we're having two firms, and that wasn't what we banked on, and I'm certainly willing. I think it's very important. I will always come from the position of having a good and very good lobby team. I think it's important to have boots on the ground, and you have to pay for that. So I'll stand by that position.
I think this will be to the discretion of the judge anyway, but, and I'm sure we're not gonna go overboard either.
Yeah, I don't,
But anyway, I'll call.
I think we all know, we're all very mindful of the dollars, and I think that's Commissioner Vaughn's point, but you can go ahead and elaborate, but I think that's the point, is that we're mindful that the dollars, I mean, it's just January. We don't know what other contingencies are coming, forward, but having said that, I understand that Ms. Jimenez will do her very, very best in those negotiations.
My concern is we're doubling up, basically, is what we're doing. We're doubling what we thought we were going to do. But my question is this: is there any way we can vote on each of those firms separately?
I wanted to raise something, and again, remember that this is a personal services contract, which means it's an individual, not a firm. So I know that your motion was Texana, but you need to identify who in Texana would be the one that's going to contract with the county to be.
well, or both of them individually, I guess. You could do it, both of them individually. I mean, they could, if that's what has to happen, right? I mean,
Then that would be three people. Patricia Shipton, and then Mr., I forget his name, Romo and Mr. Berlanga, right? Three?
Where did they get that?
well, it's three, but I think what John's motion was the Texana group's treated as one
But that's,
financial thing, and the Shipton is treated as one financial thing. But what I'm saying is, in theory, we could still contract with all three of them individually if that is what you believe the law indicates we have to do, right?
yeah, in order, as an exception of the Purchasing Act, it's got to be personal services, which means it's one person, not a firm. The contract would not be with the firm, the contract
Right,
would
and
be with the
remember you
person.
mentioned that last time, and
Right.
so what is it?
So
Matt,
I
what
guess
does
the
it
question
matter
I'm,
what agreement any firm has with, say, 5 partners going in with them? I mean, they would work that out based on how they would work that out,
it would be,
wouldn't they?
actually, whoever you contract with, that's the person that actually does it.
Okay, so
So-
maybe you could amend to say up to equal, or, in other words, maybe you want to,
You could, you could do three, select the three, right? And then for the two of the firm, they only get, equal to the other one.
Well,
I don't know if that's what
going-
you're saying.
Going back to kind of what I was saying, my thing is, I don't care what agreement any firm has made with 2, 3, 4, 10 partners. If they have worked that out, I mean, most times when you go, maybe not personal services contract, but when you go into a bid, whoever the lead is typically the person who's going to say, well, Joe, this is how much you get, Mary, that's how much you get, and this is how much I get. So, I mean, I don't really care so much about the details as far as how many contracts we have. I think it should just be 2, and whatever Mr. Romo and Mr. Bedlanga have worked out, then that's something that they need to work out themselves.
But the bottom line is one person from that firm.
That's what I would say, just
That's
to
all,
make it
one person.
easier. I'm sure that
Whoever they
will be-
decide-
they will
whoever
work
it is.
together to find that number that it works for them, and then the Shipton firm will obviously come with the number that works for them. So that's why I just want to make it easier. I think you get into 3, then we could get into just, well, I think we should all, it should be equal amounts, and then, well, what if the third person, whoever that is in this equation, doesn't agree, and then it just gets messy. So I
yeah,
just
that's
think if we
whatever.
need it, to keep it at 2, and if, like I said, if there's a number that will work for them, it will work for them, and then they will work it out
But
themselves.
you have,
That's
but you have to select.
So she's saying you have to
select.
designate,
You have
John,
to tell me
which one.
Which one? I mean, I would just say Romo. I mean, it's Texana Public Affairs at Joe Romo Group, so it would be Romo that would be on there, yes.
But-
Romo and Ship.
Okay, so at this time, we have a motion, a second. We've had some discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, we're continuing discussion at this time.
Okay.
Ms. Vaughn.
I just want to see if we can vote separate on them instead of voting them as a group. Each group separate, shift them, because I'm for one, I'm not for the other.
Well,
Right.
You know, for me, that's my motion. I mean, if it passes, I guess
Okay,
we'll
that's
see if
fine.
it passes. If it doesn't, then we'll go to that.
Okay, at this time, we have a motion and a second, and we are now ready for the question.
No public.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse, forgive me.
Sorry.
Commissioner Rojas, at this time, we do entertain public comment. Called you too early, now I don't want to call you.
Not a problem, not a problem. Honorable Judge, distinguished commissioners, thank you for allowing me to be here today. As most of you know, I am Commissioner Jesse Rojas, representing the Nueces County Drainage District Number 2. I'm here today as a partner, not as an adversary. Okay? I'm here to say that for the 2 years that I have been a representative for the Drainage District, we have done, and even 100 years before me, we have done work for the county in various projects. I think just about every one of your precincts, except maybe Mr. Chesney.
We'll get
But, well, yes. And that pretty much sums up that the work that we do has no boundaries. You know, it's not a Democrat or a Republican thing. It just needs to get from point A to point B, and that's pretty simple. I come today extending an olive branch. You know, we're here as partners. We look forward to that. I want to thank the commissioners who have attended our stakeholders meetings. And I invite you guys to come over to the district. I invite you guys to attend our future stakeholders meetings. And I do come bearing gifts, a couple of stress balls for you guys. I'll take those by your offices here. And pretty much to say that, again, that we look forward to working with the brightest minds in the county, at the state level and at the federal level, to have a proactive approach to the drainage issues in Nueces County. And I sincerely mean that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As I told you when I saw it in your hand earlier, walking down the hallway, I'll take 2.
Judge, Commissioners, I'm also here as a representative of Nueces County Drainage District Number 2, also basically bringing the same message. You know, we've heard it before, how can a house stand if it's divided? But more so, in Holy Scripture, it says, how can two, in the book of Amos, how can two walk together unless they agree? And the work that we're doing right now at the Drainage District is, like you said, to benefit a majority of the county. We have real issues. You know, we've always said we got real lucky, I guess, during Hurricane Harvey. But just because we bypassed something more catastrophic than our neighbors along the coast doesn't mean that we don't prepare for the next one. And that's what we're here for as public servants. We're here to serve our communities and our neighbors, which is, as Mr. Rojas said, why we have these stakeholders. And we're having another one on the 21st, which you guys are invited. And it's including our neighboring counties from Clayburgh, St. Pat, Duval, Jim Wells, everybody, because when that hurricane comes, it's not going to see boundaries as well. So the work that we're doing, the plans that we're doing to protect our communities, at the end of the day, we all have to be in agreement, and we all have to walk in one line with one voice. So, you know, we're here, as Commissioner Rojas says, not only to offer an olive branch, but to roll up our sleeves and hopefully work together this session, because there's a lot to offer out there, and I think together, as a combined unit, different taxing entities, we can make that march to Austin and make that march to D.C. and ensure that we find funds appropriated to this area, whether they come to the county or the drainage district or whatever city, at the end of the day, it helps protect our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other further public comment at this time on the question?
I have a comment. Can I speak?
Yes, of course.
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you've not allowed me to vote separately, which I think that would have been the right thing to do, but that's okay if that's how you want to play it. I appreciate the comments that y'all came, the Drainage District, and I've reached out to them several times because I do want to work with you. So there was really no need, as far as I'm concerned, for an olive branch, because I've always wanted to work with you guys. I want to support Patricia Shipton. I think that's a good firm. Any of the two firms we picked were good. I do have a problem with the other. I've said that. Everyone has a difference of what a conflict is. And I appreciate your saying what you said, what you thought the conflict was. I don't agree with it, but that's the way it always is. You could have 10 lawyers disagree, but I respect it. But I'll just say this. I have a legitimate reason not to support that group. And I've tried not to say anything, but I'm going to say it today.
Well, hang on a second. Before you say it, let me kind of, if you don't mind me jumping in. Commissioner, I mean, I'm going to vote the same way on both firms. So if you want to break it up and let them vote separately, if you don't, you don't. But it's not going to change the way I vote no matter what. But if that's something, whatever. I mean, you can, I don't know what you, I mean, I'm not trying to muddy the water, but I'm voting the same way no matter what. But if she really wants to vote against something, then, and for the other, then.
Let me just, I appreciate everybody. Let me just tell you one thing that I am a big fan of, and that is, it's so great always to have an attorney present because you get a little bit of clarity sometimes. Robert's Rules of Orders, and just by coincidence, I have a copy. It's very important to make sure that you follow parliamentary procedure and the procedure that we have. And I do believe there is a remedy, and the remedy is you vote against the motion. But once a motion has been made and seconded, and public comment has been taken, the question must be called. And so I'm going to ask for clarity. That is the rules as I know them and have practiced them my entire life as an officer of the court. Having said that, I would welcome the county attorney's position, but I think that it's very important to be able to have Ms. Commissioner Vaughn's voice, and I would like to make sure that she has ample opportunity to share her concerns. I'd also like to be able to call the question, because I believe a motion has been made and is seconded, and has been seconded, and the proper procedures have been followed.
Excuse me, the way the motion is on the table is to select these two individuals, so that's the motion, and that got seconded, so that's how you vote on. I mean, that's how you're going to vote on it.
That's correct.
But obviously, Commissioner Vaughn is given the opportunity to speak as well, her opinion.
Absolutely, and the proper remedy is to, if she opposes, to vote against. The only thing also I would add is that we will have an opportunity after the vote to go into executive session to bring up any legal matters relating to the question, including conflicts, and I would also offer into the record the attorney-client privilege brief that's been offered to the commissioners.
Just to clarify, do you want to go into closed session first and on the legal questions before you take a vote?
If you're going to go into it, I stand to reason you would probably going to go in first, but I don't have a need to go into it. But if someone else does, then I think we should probably go.
Well, only if there's a legal question to be determined, that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with going into executive session, but I do have a problem with this concept that we're not following procedure or rules. I understand opinions. I'm a very big proponent of opinions, and I'm very opinionated. But I do believe that when there's only one rule of law, there's only one set of rules that this court acknowledges, and that's the legal set of rules. And so I would like to call the question.
The only way you go into closed session is the way we have noticed it. And so if there is no question with regards to, and any further legal question regarding conflicts, then basically there's no reason to go into closed session.
And Judge, and I agree, if we need to move forward on this vote, because we need to, then, I mean, that's why I made the motion, so that we can move forward. But, I mean, I just asked my colleagues here, if there's a question on the legal issue, then I think we owe it to ourselves to go, I mean, that's why I recommended during the last meeting was to have this provision in there, because any group, any entity that we go into agreements with, or don't, but bring out any names or any questions, one, the information may not be true, but, I mean, that, you're talking about their livelihood, the work that they do, and that's why I wanted that ability to be able to have us get an opinion from the county attorney so we can clarify. Now, I do appreciate the briefing that you gave us, the legal advisory that you gave us, and I think that helps a lot, but, Judge, before we vote, I agree we should move to that. If there's anyone that needs to get
Nope.
anything clarified on this, and that we get it clarified in a setting that allows us to be sensitive to people's reputations. And I think that that's what the whole issue of me asking for this option to be put into the session. Now, if I'm not right, or if that's not, we've already gone past that point, just let me know, and then we go and vote, and we're done with it.
I think we're already gone past that point.
Okay, I mean, that's,
I-
what do you think?
I think we got,
I think we need to have something clarified.
well, we asked for attorney's opinion, and we gave one. And then we still say we're not gonna follow that. It's happened before, and then we come back and it's, we're back to square one because it's a true opinion, and we don't come back with anything different, and so, at this time, emotion is, if you don't like the motion, like in the past, it happened to me when I didn't like the motion, so I didn't vote for it. I come back and make another motion, if that motion don't pass, it don't pass either. But I think that's the way it should be, I mean.
But I think if she's got a legitimate legal question, I would give anybody on the court the courtesy of allowing them to ask their legal question in closed session if that's what she has, and if that's not what she has, then we should move on. But if anybody asks to say, I want to go ask my lawyer a question, and
But why didn't you ask?
I don't know.
Before? I mean, that's-
Well,
why
I'll-
don't you ask the county attorney to clarify if you have it? We all should do that before too. That's why she's here. We should get her to say, hey, what do you think about this? Where do I stand on this? And this is why she's here, and we're supposed to try to clear these things before we come back to court, not at court, But I just,
Well, in the spirit of cooperation and hopefully maybe consensus, Commissioner Vaughn, do you have a legal question that you would like to address?
I would prefer not doing it out here, but if you
Okay.
want me to, I will.
Well,
And
I think-
prefer not doing it.
Well, just so you know, it's not even a matter of preference. It's just a matter of what the executive session, what the government code allows. And typically, the government code requires, and it's for the protection of the court, to be able to ask legal, advice in private, so we don't waive the privilege. And that's why it's structured that way. So if you'll just make the request to have some legal clarification, we'll take a quick moment to go into executive session. I do want to remind the court and the clerk that we are, we stand at a motion and a second with the question called, and the chair, in this case, is the county judge in this parliamentary procedure. We're going to take a moment to go ask this legal question, so I'll read for the record the executive session public notice that's required under law. And that is that we are electing to go into executive session regarding a particular agenda item. In this case, it's agenda item number 1, and it's subject to the Open Meetings Act authorizing it, accordance with Vernon's Government Code, sections 551, 071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 086, 087, in order so that we can possibly consult with our attorney, including matters related to litigation regarding real property, prospective gifts, personal matters, including termination, county advisory boards, security devices, and/or economic development negotiations, and other matters that may be discussed in executive session. That's where this one falls. And upon completion, we will return in open session and take appropriate action as discussed. And with that, we will retire momentarily to executive session. And I've got all mics off. Prior to leaving executive session, we had a motion on the floor in the courtroom made by Commissioner Modis and seconded by Commissioner Gonzalez. We asked for public comment, and it was received. We asked for discussion. We also had discussion. Is there any further discussion this time before the question is called?
Hopefully.
At this time, the question has been called. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Abstain.
And the motion carries. And I believe that is the extent of the agenda, but I'll do a double check. Actually, there's something. There's also the adjournment in memory. So at this time, I would ask Commissioner Chesney if you have anybody.
Not at this point. Thank you, Judge.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Not right now, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Vaughn? Commissioner Modis? Okay, well, sadly, yesterday, someone from my childhood passed away. Her name was Grace Bettis. She fell down and just one of those terrible things that happens, fell down, hit her head, and she passed away. And she was just a wonderful woman, like I said, always, her family had a jukebox business. They had all the novelty games in town. I can't remember the name of it to save my life, but I got up from a meeting, they told me, and I just cried. And I hadn't thought about her in a long time, but all those memories came flooding back, all those wonderful jukebox days. So I'm adjourning in memory of my parents' friend, Grace Pettis. And with that, we do have a motion for adjournment. And second. And that's non-debatable. We're adjourned.